All right, y'all. So listen, I said we were going to do it. So we're going to get into this whole wokeness thing again in She-Hulk. I've seen it 3 times now, so I got a little bit more to share with you. First, shout out to my man who gave me an awesome tip for green screening. Cuts down the production time like a lot. So I might actually start using the green screen more. Anyway, let's jump in. So man, like you're probably aware, right? Like of all the venom that's going on about She-Hulk. Oh man, some people claiming that it's just like it's pushing feminism. Some people claiming that it's man bashing and all this kind of good stuff. And listen, I said on my short that I didn't really see all of that. Like these arguments that um people are saying about the show, like, what are you talking about, was my disposition. And it's funny, like me even saying that, because what I'm finding, especially even as I'm looking at stuff, people who said the show was decent or didn't have a problem with what was going on in the show in terms of the wokeness of it are getting flamed themselves. So it'll be interesting to see what people say about me. But listen, I'm unapologetic about it. Like, I don't see what the big deal was. There's a couple of different scenes in the show after having seen it more times where I can see where people are complaining. There's 3 main scenes where I've seen people talk about it. Number one, that opening scene, right, where she's practicing, I guess, her dialogue with the other 2 lawyers, and basically she sides with the other female lawyer in the room and puts the other or the female, I don't even know if maybe she was a paralegal in the room, but the other guy's a lawyer, puts him out and basically says, listen, like, yeah, I'm gonna take the opinion of this person who apparently is not a lawyer over you, and you are a lawyer, and that guy was a dude. Like some people said, like, see, there we go again. There we go again. Making the brothers look bad. That dude was so weak in his disposition, right? And she came across strong. There it is. The weak male again. So that's one episode or one aspect of what people had problems with. And then another aspect that people had problems with was when she was giving the speech, right? And he was talking about controlling yourself and controlling a hawk. And she said, listen, I control myself all the time, right? I'm a lawyer. I got to deal with people talking to me. I have better control than you do. At least she says something to that effect. I might not have the dialogue down perfectly. And then, of course, there is the scene where like the 2 of them are going at each other, right? Now, the crazy thing about that scene, and listen, if I'm wrong, please drop a comment and let me know. But I don't even know what all the fuss was about that scene. They were both going at each other. It wasn't like she was just like straight beast mode on the Hulk. It wasn't. The 2 of them were going back and forth, and at some points during the fight, one got better of the other at some points during the fight. But by no means was it just like she came in there just like trashing the Hulk. So I don't know why people are so upset about that. So for me, this episode was not like it was just like overtly just like man bashing, like look at the stupid weak men. It wasn't doing that. And I've seen shows that do that, but this wasn't doing that. And by the way, if you didn't see the YouTube short, I didn't like the first episode. I thought it was quite bad to awful. There were a whole bunch of problems with it. And God knows, I hope that episode 2 is better, because if not, this show is a real disappointment. It was not a good show. So it's not like I'm championing the show like, wow, it was so wonderful. Nah, it wasn't good on a lot of different levels. So it's not like I loved it. I just want to make that clear. But the thing that really bothers me now is, man, like, it's crazy, right? Like the level of aggression we've gotten towards each other that disagree on stuff. It's crazy. Like you would think some people are getting a paycheck. You would. I mean, with how much vitriol they have towards another person that disagrees with them over some entertainment, that's crazy. And as I said, there's plenty of stuff in that first episode to be mad about. One thing I hated was I hated how they changed their origin story. I thought that was lazy and whack. So there's plenty of stuff to be upset about, especially as a diehard Marvel fan, of which all of you all know I consider myself. But do you think that I'm going to go on someone else's channel that loved the show and talk about how stupid they are, talk about this or talk about that because they had a difference of opinion? How stupid is that? Let me tell you what's happening. There's a number of things happening here. But number one, we all have been co-opted, I think, to a degree, especially by the term woke, because now the term has been used by everybody, and everybody is using that term to manipulate people towards their point of view or their echo chamber, especially politically. That's what's happening. So when people hear the term woke right now, no matter how you feel about it, you might hear that term and feel like it's something that you embrace because you feel like the message of wokeness is important to you, or you could be the opposite of that and think it's garbage and they're trying to shove an agenda down our throat. I feel like, you know what, let's define the term woke, right? Because I can't remember who it was in the short, but someone made a comment and said I probably need to define a term because everybody has probably a different definition of wokeness. But I do think that there is a through line definition of wokeness that probably would apply to anyone's definition, even if the nuances of their definition as a whole is different from other people's. And I think the through line of wokeness is that most people would define the term as the representation of, I would probably classify, of a group of people that have either been disenfranchised, underrepresented, or marginalized. And that representation of those people is something that is being, for some they would consider forcibly, or for others they would consider purposely put in front of us so that we can see these groups of people. I would define wokeness as that because I think that that term is probably pretty consistent with how most people would define it, at least in part, in their definition of wokeness. So that's the term that we're going with. So I think what's happening here is people are hypersensitive to it, such that like when we see anything, right, we're just like, wokeness, wokeness, wokeness. It's kind of like me with bugs, right? Like I hate bugs. So if I see any movement out the corner of my eye, I'm like, what was that? What was that? Especially ants, man. I can't stand ants. But I feel like we've kind of gotten that way about wokeness. Now, it is a little tricky, right? Because I'm not going to sit here and try and say that things don't look a lot different than they did in our TV and movie shows than just a few years ago. Absolutely, you are seeing more representation on our TVs and movie shows, and people have a problem with that. Now, I personally do not have a problem with representation. If you've been around on the channel, you know how I feel about that. I'm unapologetic about this, especially when it comes to representation of ethnicity and things like that, because I think that people want to see people that look like them on camera. Now, not everybody agrees with me, and some of you all have laid out some really good arguments as to why you disagree with me, and I realize there's a whole bunch of things, right, that might impact how you feel about that. That's why I love this channel too. Let me just say this real quick. That's why I love this channel too, because one of the things that we do here is we have strong opinions about things. You know I do. But you do too, and you lay out these arguments in the comments that are so good. Like people have laid out comments like boom, 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 and I'm like, man, that's good. Like I hadn't even considered that. That's good. So it's so nice, right? Because we might disagree and maybe disagree with passion, but we keep it respectful. And I've just not seen a lot of other places where that's done. I really haven't. Now, I'm sure it's done in other places, but I can only speak for really the dark side community and how we interact. And normally, even when we agree, or even when we disagree, we keep it respectful. And I love that because people are trying to tear people's throats out about entertainment. It's a movie, man. It's a TV show. That's all that it is. And I understand that people want to talk about the respect of the material, of the content. Lord knows I'm like that with Marvel. Like I like to see stuff transition from the page to live action and have it be as true as possible to what we've seen on the page. Now, I will leave room for some changes, but I like at least the essence of the story to be as true as possible. So I get the fact that you want authenticity when you're watching certain things, especially for those that are diehard fans of something that's a series or of books or comics or whatever. Like you've been a long time fan, you want to see it represented well. I understand all of that, but this whole ability to or this lack of ability to agree with each other is madness, and like it's getting out of hand. It's toxic fandom ramped up to 10, and it's crazy.